So thank you for the invitation. I'm Cristina Frosini, and I'm glad to share my story about dystonia. I'm a musician and had a focal dystonia and a pianist, and so with the help of some slides, I will tell my story. I began playing piano when I was 2, you see, and I entered the Conservatorio of Milan when I was 11, and since then my goal was to become a professional pianist. And so afterwards I started playing in piano duets in 1975, and have been practiced every day from 6 to 2 hours per day until 2003. Even in the meantime, in 1981, I became professor of piano at the Conservatorio of Alessandria. But I always taught in Conservatorio since then. But in 1999, something changed. As I said to you, I was a professional player, and I just want to no, how is it? I want to. Okay, I click here. Yeah. Okay. It was just to show you that I was capable to play. That was one of my records. But as I said to you before, in 1999 something changed. I was studying Schubert's Grande Sonata, and have been playing that sonata from the age of 16, and something got wrong. All the passages, some passages were uneven, and I didn't know what was happening in my hand. And after 1 year, the first finger of my hand began benching on the palm like this, and I couldn't play the simple exercise by Czerny. If someone has studied piano knows that Czerny is fundamental for us. And after 2 or 3 years, I couldn't play the famous C major scales. I don't have any video of my hand because they were lost by a surgeon. And so I want to show you a hand which was similar to my hand when I was at the end diagnosed after 7 years. Okay, so the condition of my hand got worse and worse, and the third band, but also the fourth and the fifth finger, and moreover, they couldn't move from the keyboard, and so you see it was sticked. It was has some. Glue was on the key, and it was really a bad sensation for me. And the more I studied, the worse it was. So I never felt pain in the finger, but it was so difficult in the hand to play that I had muscle pain in my forearm and my shoulder and my back. And so I tried everything. I tried physiotherapy, I tried acupuncture, Feldenkrais. It was the only method that gave me temporary relief, naturally drugs, and I tried also pranotherapy, but nothing of this products any results. So I began to go to doctors, not family doctors. I went to neurologists or hand surgeons, and they told me everything. I could have a neurological disease, but never focal dystonia. Nobody spoke about focal dystonia. They told me of carpal tunnel, Gehrig disease. Many says to me, "Oh, you must look inside yourself. Maybe something is wrong with you." And so I was really desperate. But in the end, two surgeons told me that it could be a problem with my tendons. And so they advised me to undergo an operation. And so I tried. I couldn't play anymore. My career was completely ended, and I had to stop playing. So I tried the operation, but after the operation, the hand was completely down, and I could play just with two fingers, the first and the second. And so in 2005, I decided to stop. And by chance, one of my colleagues told me that there was a Milan Congress about all the musician pathologies. And so I went to that Congress, and I saw a wee video where was a pianist who was playing Mozart C major sonata. And I said to myself, that's my hand, so I have focal dystonia. And there I met Eckhart Altemüller, and so I spoke with him, and I went to Hanover in July, and he diagnosed focal dystonia. And they told me, well, you are in a good company, as the same as Schumann, as you knew before. Here is Eckhart, and I thank him for all he has done for me. And you see, you have Schumann, but you have also Leon Fleischer and Glenn Gould. So I said to myself, well, it could be worse. I could have had a worse problem. I had just focal dystonia. I'm alive. And so I want to do something to recover my hand. So I began a very long period. It took me about 7 years, and I have done a recovery with Laurent Boulet. You have seen him in the photo before, and I began to study how is our brain, and to study all the possible, the more physiological technique. You see, this the end of 19th century, and I began to do botulinum toxin injection in 2007, and when I did the injection, all the recovering was easier, and my finger was light. I could work. But the most important thing is, well, you can be helped to recover, but you have really to understand how your hand and body and brain are functioning. And had I discovered something more, and so I could add to Laurent Boulet help, another had my help, and so I discovered something more, and at the end of this adventure in 2012 I began playing again, and I was in Berlin, and that day I met Monica. That's why I'm here, and I know Monica. So here it was in Hanover when I went to Congress, because I wanted to understand more and more, because the most important thing for me was understanding. I'm not a doctor, naturally, and I'm just a pianist. And so that's what Moshe Feldenkrais says: when you know what you are doing, then you can do what you want. You can. But it was so important for me. And so here is in 2000, I think, 14, with my colleague, and so we were playing again. So, oh, sorry, I didn't want to. And so you see, I've met Monica as before, and here I was in Edinburgh, and I met Alistair. So thanks to them for being here and for what they are doing for all patients with dystonia. And well, afterwards, my life changed. In 2014, I was appointed vice director of Conservatorio Milano, and in 2016, I was appointed director. This is our conservatorio, and it's a very, I can say, very interesting, amusing work. And I began to work before, just in 2010, I began to work on prevention, and this is what we have done this year for the wellness of musicians. I think it's the only conservatory in Italy that can do and want to do something. The most important thing is that professor doesn't understand that we can have very serious pathology if we don't look at any aspect for the well-being of the musicians. So we have, oh sorry, I wanted to share with you, this was the first morceau I played after in 2012. It's a quartet by Schumann, and it's a very for me, it's the coming back to work. And so that's what we do. We have a physiotherapy studio. We have, thank you, courses with physiopathology for instrumental and vocal performance. We have mindfulness, Feldenkrais, biodance. We have yoga. We have clinicians who come and take and explain to our students all the possible problems they can have with anxiety and playing too much. So just for the statistics, I was 39 when Dystonia began. I began studying when I was 2. I'm a female, but I spoke with Eckhart. There are more male because more male play an instrument. So I don't know. I'm a female. I was very, yes, a bit of anxiety, but I was a perfectionist. Was my mother and my grandfather had essential tremors. So I don't know. I have a lot of things that could be interesting, and we spoke a lot with Eckhart. And I was the second to try the TDC and it was at the end of my recovering, and I played a Bach partita, and I had 2 bars that were not so good. And so afterwards, Eckhart told me, "You want to try? You have a second one?" Yes, I try. And so he put all the things on my head, and I had done 20 minutes of some technical exercise. And afterwards, I came down where Eckhart was. I played, and it was marvelous because the 2 bars were perfect. So I said, well, that's the future. But after 2 hours, all the effect were gone away. And so I don't know now, it was 2000, I think 12 or 13, and I've met Eckhart in some congress, but I never asked him if with a TDCS. Here is me and Monica, and I have to say thank you to a lot of people. First of all, Eckhart, and to Laurent Boulet, and thank you for having met Monica and Alistair, because I'm so happy to be here and to have shared my story. So thank you, and many wishes for the 25th anniversary.